Good afternoon, everybody. We're having this news conference today to announce the arrest of two people directly responsible for the fatal shooting of Julian Keel on June 2nd, 2024. Ironically, this announcement comes 4 months, just 2 days shy of Juju's 17th birthday. He was 16 years old when he was taken from us. Joining us today is Juju's mother, Adrienne Lake Watson. 4 months ago, I stood in your living room and I talked to you and your husband, and I explained to you how this investigation was going to happen. And I promised you we would clear this case and we would arrest those responsible for Juju's killing, and that's happened. I thank you for sticking beside us. 4 months is a long time, and having faith in our investigators. I know they stayed in just constant communication with you, but also you inspired us. You were brave, just courageous, very outspoken, outspoken about gun violence, and outspoken about being a silent witness, and it mattered. Now I'd like to provide some information to you about the two people that have been charged in this murder investigation. In Sumter County early this morning, members of the U.S. Marshals Service, Carolina's Regional Fugitive Task Force, and which we also participate in, we have an officer that's embedded in that task force. They worked along with the Sumter County Sheriff's Office and arrested 20-year-old Tony Wilson. That's Tony, T-O-N-I-E, Wilson. He's being charged with murder, possession of a weapon during a violent crime, and breach of peace of a high and aggravated nature. The second suspect is a 16-year-old juvenile. He was arrested in the Gaston area of Lexington just a few hours ago. He faces the same charges plus possession of a firearm under 18. At the time of the shooting, he was on supervised release and was wearing an ankle monitor for a previously charged motor vehicle theft. Before I recap the case, I'd like to thank our officers and our investigators and our support staff. They put their heart and soul into this case, just like they do every case. 50-plus interviews, 10-plus search warrants, and 1,000 work hours. I've said this before, and it's worth repeating. Our officers are their moms and dads, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles. This stuff is personal, and it matters. And it showed in this case, just like it does in all cases. So I thank all of you all. I know many of you are here. Thank you all for just the exceptional work. The other agencies that assisted us, especially these last couple of days, Calhoun County Sheriff's Office, Lexington County Sheriff's Office, and the Sumter County Sheriff's Office, and of course the State Law Enforcement Division. To recap the case, at approximately 12:30 a.m. on June 2nd, 2024, officers responded to a shots fired call at 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard. That evening, the venue, Rollout Wang's Egg Roll, was home to a high school graduation party attended by more than 100 people. One of those people was Juju and a friend. While responding to the location, our officers learned that at least one person had been hit by gunfire. During the initial investigation, our officers determined that two different groups exchanged gunfire in the parking lot of the venue. Among those groups arguing was Tony Wilson and a juvenile suspect, both on opposing sides. They were beefing and they were carrying guns, and they went to a party. It's believed that both of the parties argued before the shooting. We maintain that Juju was absolutely an innocent bystander in this when he was struck by gunfire. He was attempting to leave the party. And I'm going to repeat that. Julian Keel was not involved in any aspect of this incident other than being an innocent bystander, wrong place at the wrong time. This case was what I originally described as forensically heavy, a lot of forensics. Our crime scene techs collected more than 50 spent shell casings at the scene. Our investigators have seized 4 different firearms during the course of this investigation, one that includes a .300 blackout assault-style weapon that we believe to be the weapon that fired the fatal shot. The State Law Enforcement Division lab expedited and processed numerous pieces of evidence for us, including developing DNA profiles and latent prints related to the murder. Although the murder weapon was not stolen, it was still submitted through our ATF partners through the E-Trace system, which is our standard protocol for how we handle all weapons that come into our possession. The person that purchased the firearm was identified and interviewed by investigators. He later admitted to selling the weapon through the dark web. And as such, our ATF partners, along with our task force officers, will continue to investigate that aspect of this investigation. ShotSpotter technology also played a vital role in this investigation. It helped identify the original shots being fired, the sequence of events, and actually the movements of people firing weapons. A technology that has proven itself time and time again with us. Early on, Crime Stopper tips were few and far between. However, we recently received some information that helped confirm and corroborate information that was developed by our investigators. We do anticipate some additional arrests in this investigation, so we continue to encourage anyone that has information to report, that they report that through Crime Stoppers. Oftentimes what we see when we make arrests, especially principals that are involved, oftentimes that gives people some additional courage they need to make some reports or provide information. We hope that happens here. In closing, this was one of 12 reported murders this year in our city. Today's arrest brings closure to Juju's killing, but it also represents all of our murders this year being solved. Also encouraging, the number of people struck by gunfire this year is down 42% in our city. This was a tragedy, a completely avoidable tragedy. We've got to continue to speak out against gun violence. We've got to continue to stay the course on our strategies and initiatives. And I'll say to our officers again, your work does not go unnoticed. This was an exceptionally hard case to investigate, and you saw it through. And to Mom, I'm glad that we've come this far this day, and we've still got some work to do. But thank you for again being with us throughout this investigation. I want you all to please respect her privacy. That took a lot of courage for her to be here today, but it was important for her to be here to hear this announcement. So I'll take a few questions.
Chief, one question. We've obviously seen plenty of stories recently about illegal modifications on weapons. Was there anything illegally modified on the assault-style rifle?
There was not, except for weapons like this are high capacity, meaning they hold a lot of bullets, and they'll fire as quick as you can pull the trigger. Anything else?
A couple of additional questions. As you talk about the need to crack down on gun violence here in the city, does this obviously open up some avenues for different changes on, not just the guns that are getting stolen, but also sometimes, ammunition might be an issue as well. That is, for all intents and purposes, just available on shelves, no locks, no casings as well.
You're going to have to repeat that one.
Long story short, Chief, is there more to be done as far as ammo being sold as well as guns? Because we obviously see stolen guns, but ammo is just available readily on shelves without any locks or casings behind it.
Well, I think we I think we all would agree that the availability of firearms, the ability to, have ammunition on hand to load a firearm is prevalent. I mean, we see that every day with the number of guns we seized, the number of rounds that we see fired at these gun crime scenes. So to me, it remains prevalent. It remains, one of our very top priorities, in the Midlands, not just here in Columbia, but throughout the Midlands in our state.
One other question that comes to mind, when you talk about a future arrest coming, will they be facing charges for accessory? What are those charges looking like for those future arrests?
We're not at liberty to discuss that. They will be directly related to this incident, though.
Does it sound like more people have begun cooperating at this time as far as information gathering is concerned?
No, I wouldn't say that. We've said throughout this investigation that the information provided by the public has been few and far between, and that continues to be the case. A positive, just within, in the last few days, we have had a tip that came in that proved to validate some of the work that we had done. And again, oftentimes we see once we make an arrest, it does open the door for people to come forward and provide some additional information, and we hope that happens as well.
So you mentioned there were 4 firearms. Were any of the other ones stolen?
No, they weren't.
Can you expand on the tip? Was that an anonymous call that came in?
It came through our tip line, and I'll just leave it at that. All right, thank you all very much.